This video today will show you how to make a cowl neck top like this one. This piece is really easy and simple to make as it is pullover and there isn't a zip fastening. It's a great piece to make for beginners or if you're just starting out. So to start off with, we have our pattern pieces. We have our facings, our back, the front, and with the front we're going to cut it out on the fold, and we also have our straps. First of all, we want to start cutting out our fabric. Our front piece has to be cut on the fold, so we need to make sure our pattern piece is laid out correctly. We're going to cut that out, and next we have the back to cut out. There's two pieces which isn't cut on the fold, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Once you've cut out your front and back, we also need to cut out the straps. So we need to cut them out. There is 4 pieces to cut out because the straps tie up either side, and then we're going to cut out the facing pieces. The facing pieces are similar to the front. We cut the front piece on the fold, and then we have 2 back pieces. So now we have all our pattern pieces cut out, and we've just got to put it together. So first we're going to overlock all of our pieces. So the front, we're going to overlock all the sides. And because this piece isn't lined, the overlocking gives it a really nice professional finish and of course stops it from fraying. We want to overlock all the sides, so that's the back and the front pieces as well, and then we also need to overlock the facing. So every single side you're going to overlock just to stop from any fraying happening and to finish it nicely. Now all our pieces are overlocked, it's time to lay your front and your back pieces together, and we're going to align them correctly so that you can pin them for them to be sewn up. And remember to sew or to pin them right sides together. Because this is a piece that is pullover, we also need to sew up the back, so we're going to pin those seams together, and then you're going to get your facing and do exactly the same and pin that correctly. Now that everything has been pinned, it's time to sew it up. So with the facing, sew up those seams, and then we can sew up the main top fabric. Remember to sew using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Now that you've sewn up the top and the facing pieces, it's time to attach them together. So first of all, pin them into place, and remember, right sides facing each other. When you pin the facing to the rest of the top, just be careful of making sure that the side seams match up correctly. You can always check this by folding it back over and make sure that your seams have been opened so that they aren't going to get caught and make the top bulky when you sew it. Now that it's all pinned into place, it's time to work on your straps. So using the bias tape maker, it's time to slot through your straps that you've made, and then you can iron them into place. This bias tape maker is so good, it's such a lifesaver for making straps. So once you've done that and threaded it through the tape maker, it's time to then fold your straps in half and then pin them, and once again press to make it stay into place. Now it's time to sew your straps down. Ideally I would sew as close to the edge as possible so that you catch both the top and the bottom of the fabric together and create a really nice neat line of stitching. Now you have your 4 straps, it's time to put them into the top and get them sewn in. So for the front straps you want to get close to the corners of your top and pin them into place. You can now do the same with the other side and just get that pinned into place, ready to be sewn. Now that your front straps are in place, you can sew them down using the 1 cm seam allowance, and you can sew down the rest of your front facing. It's always worth checking your straps have been sewn in the right place. So once you've done that and you're happy with it, it's time to sew in the back straps. I've measured 7 cm from the centre back seam, and I'm going to mark it with a pin where the strap is going to be slotted through. So where you've marked 7 cm from the back, you're going to slot in your strap and pin it just so it stays in securely. You can then do the same to the other side and measure 7 cm. Once your back straps are pinned in place, you can then sew them and sew the rest of the facing to your top. When you get to the sides, you just want to be a little bit careful and make sure that your seams are facing flat so that they don't get caught up and create a very bulky seam. Once you've sewn your facing to your top and sewn your straps in, give it a quick check and make sure you're happy with everything. As you can see, the straps are looking pretty good on this top, so now I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the straps are securely in. I'm also going to trim the excess off the straps because it will just create a bit of bulk that we don't want. And then yeah, I'm gonna secure the straps down with a few extra stitches. Once our straps have been securely sewn down and you've gone over them with the sewing machine, it's time to give your top a nice press. So press open all the seams, especially the facing pieces, and then press that down into the top just to make it sit really nicely. As we're coming to the end of making this piece, you can now sew in your label if you have one. I've sewn in my woven label, which was actually made from recycled polyester. It just gives a little bit of professionalism to my design. Next, I recommend to finish the top and to make the facing sit flat is to catch the seam allowances together, so the facing and the top. If you get the seam allowances and make a few stitches to attach them, then it will help the facing just to sit down nicer and not be taken up if you're putting the top on and off. It just helps it to sit flatter. Now we're going to finish the top by hemming it. So as we've overlocked the bottom, I'm just going to fold it over and it's about 1/2 centimetre seam allowance here. So I'm just going to fold the hem over for the overlocking to be folded up one way, and then I'm just going to sew down catching that so it's all hidden. So you can finish hemming your top, and once you've done that, your top is complete. You can give it a press if you like, if you want to finish it, and yeah, hopefully your top should look something like this. Obviously you can use whatever fabric you like as long as it's suitable. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and I hope you found it easy to follow along with.